especially when a client's not using a buyer's agent. That generally takes on a little more of the role of the due diligence as well. Whereas when a buyer's agent is involved, there's actually a bit of a crossover where we kind of have to outline what the tasks are. But what type of due diligence do you have to do outside of the contract?
Scope of work for the legal due diligence usually falls into two parts. There's the lease due diligence, which is a review of the lease and the associated lease documents. And then there's the property title due diligence, which includes searches of the property. They're the two main parts there for lawyers. And obviously there can be a bit of crossover with the buyer's agents. Buyer's agents will be looking at a lot of the financials, for example, with the deal and making sure that the rent and the outgoings and some of the key lease covenants from a financial aspect reflect what's going on with the actual lease.
So mate, when you're doing your commercial due diligence on the lease and also the contract of sale, obviously like that can be a really big beast, and like Steve and I always really preach for the investor to do your own mini due diligence as well. How do you actually present your findings in the contract of sale and the lease for your client to be able to understand as well as you do?
We've obviously done a lot of commercial deals. We've created a consumer-friendly template that our legal advisors will complete. Clients don't want us to repeat all the legal jargon for them. They want something easy to understand so they can make informed decisions. So our reports are for the review of the contract and the lease, and we detail any of the material issues from the property due diligence searches. So for example, our lease review report, for each critical clause, we have a list of the most common types of terms within the industry, and we'll select the one applicable to the lease that we reviewed. This means the client is given context and, for example, knows that in this lease, the annual rent review is fixed, say 3% rather than a CPI. So we'll list all the different options within the industry parameters so that they know that even though the lease says X, they can compare it to Y and Z and understand if their lease is a good one.
One of the cool things, Andrew, is Richie's company actually uses an online software so that the client can actually see exactly where they're up to in terms of like the conveyancing, soliciting, the due diligence, the lease review, etc. So it's all in one platform. You don't have to trawl through thousands of emails.
Oh, also you actually just like log into the platform and then it just basically gives you a percentage of, completion.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's an online platform that we've developed called Rundle, RUNDL. We want to make the transaction as transparent and easy, both for the client, but also for their other advisors, like the buyer's agents and real estate agents. So we invite them all into that space, secure online space. Now, of course, we all know that there's been, hacks through email, phishing hacks where people have had money misdirected to fraudsters' accounts. It's a real issue in the industry. Rundle certainly helps from that perspective as well. But it does track the deal for everyone. Obviously, as a volume business like ours, it means that we can use the templates within Rundle to give the information that clients need and when they need it. We've also developed videos within Rundle. We all know that clients don't always read letters of advice. So a quick 60-second video in Rundle at critical stage in the transaction gets their attention more and they understand what they need to do and when they need to do it.
So is that a video that you record just explaining that to them, like deal for deal? Is that how you do it?
The Rundle videos are key steps. They're the same across the board. So they're more to explain the steps in the transaction, what generally happens. So they're not deal specific.
Okay, so these are like generic conditions that you would just be explaining to make it easier for your client to understand. It's not like this is happening when, blah, 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 like dates and, for due diligence and things like that.
No, so that's all done, messages within Rundle. We have it's like a Facebook feed, for example. So every time you post a message, we make it visible to participants, or we can select individuals if it's just relevant to them. Attach documents. The videos are at critical steps, so it might be when we reviewed a contract. Okay, well, here's a video of what happens next. A video of when we've exchanged a contract. Okay, well, here's what happens next and what you need to do. Even simple things like, the client needs to verify their identity. They need to sign this or do that. It's explained in a video rather than them having to read through,
Yeah, because I've had a lot of different experiences with different solicitors. So like you might have a solicitor that rings you up and they want to give you the whole spiel on the phone, which is fine. But then you don't really have that record and say you forget everything and like it's a lot of information to take in. And then you have these other solicitors that really like writing a massive email to you. And it's just like, you go into reading it and just like what you're describing sounds like it'd be a very, very refreshing way of doing it with video and, everything with the platform. It sounds really cool.
Yeah, that's exactly what our clients think. You know, the common theme in all our reviews is how easy we make it, and that's a breath of fresh air. We like to, because we do high volume and our fees are very competitive, we need to make sure that we're efficient as well. So rather than writing something over and over again for each client about what to do next, we've templated that, or we've made a video at key stages. So that means that everyone's getting a consistent experience, and it makes us more efficient too.
The video is quite an important one as well, because a lot of people are visual learners, and I've actually found that, like, even in my buyer's agency, like, you go under contract and then I send them a PDF of 3 pages of the next steps, and there's like 9 different steps they need to follow. I can tell you probably 3/4 of the clients don't actually read it, or they do and they forget because they ask the same question that's in that document a week later. But I think if you shorten it up into a sharp video, it actually quite helps.
We've found that the number of what do I do next questions and phone calls have reduced dramatically since we introduced both videos, but also, you know, templated messages and steps. Our guys just need to click a button and all the information is there for the client, you know, rather than having to write that out every time.
Works well for my clients as well, because obviously they normally probably would ask me what's coming up next, but once I've introduced them to you, they can actually just watch the video, and it saves me explaining the whole soliciting process to them.